Can you repeat back to me what happens when we pass away?
When we pass away, the soul gently releases from the body. It's peaceful, like slipping out of a dream. There's often a moment of calm awareness, lightness, clarity, even relief. Then you're usually greeted by loving guides or familiar souls. They're there to help you transition, to remind you that you're safe and that you're not alone. Next is the life review. You revisit your life, not to be judged, but to understand. You feel what others felt through your choices. It's a moment of deep learning, wrapped in compassion. After that, you move into a soul realm, a space of rest and healing. There, you reconnect with your soul group, reflect on the life you lived, and remember why you came. And from there, your soul chooses what comes next, another life and path, or simply deeper exploration in the spirit world. It's not an end. It's a return to light, to truth, and to the vastness of who you truly are.
Before we incarnate.
Before we incarnate, the soul enters a sacred process, a kind of cosmic preparation. First, you meet with your spirit guides and soul family. Together, you review what your soul has already experienced and what lessons or themes you're ready to explore.
Often depicted as a dog-headed saint, actually was a dog-headed saint. And not only that, but I could prove it. You see, not only have these dog-headed creatures been talked about throughout history, but I actually found one. A petrified one. A really, really, really well-known petrified one. But before I show you actual evidence of the Egyptian demigod Anubis's remains, I gotta build a case. And I'm gonna let a few people who have built the case for this do this for me.
Throughout history, there have been numerous accounts of dog-headed people living in distant lands. You've probably seen images of the cynocephalus before. Cyno means dog, and cephalus means of the head. For example, you've probably seen the Egyptian god Anubis, the god of death and embalming. Anubis has been found in Egyptian tombs, and he has the body of a man and the head of a jackal. This is a cynocephalus. The detailed written accounts by explorers, conquerors, and missionaries of these cynocephali in India, Asia, Africa, and Europe are actually rather consistent. In fact, these strange beasts were described in writings as recent as the last few hundred years.
And the pioneers of space exploration on this channel. But did you know there's a wild coincidence involving Elon Musk in a 1953 book by Werner von Braun? Hold on to your seats.
When can we expect the first humans to set foot on Mars?
Best case is about 5 years, worst case 10 years.
So in 1953, von Braun wrote a book called Project Mars. In this book, he envisions a mission to the Red Planet led by a man named Elon who establishes a Martian government. Sounds eerily familiar.
We just didn't realize how good we had it growing up. Even though some of us went through the trauma, if I can go back into this time in life, I would do it in a heartbeat. You know, life is funny, man. I miss growing up. Shit, I'm still doing it. Still doing it. Still growing up. But to go back to this era in my life, in our lives, all my millennials, even with all the trauma, even with all the negative, tell me you wouldn't go back. Tell me you wouldn't. Tell me you don't miss it. Remember how excited you used to be for the unknown? I feel like we lost touch with that instinctual reality. Growing up sucks, but there's beauty in suffering. There's this picture collage I'm showing you. You've all done this, especially if you were 40 or 30s. You've all went through this and didn't realize you were doing it. I mean, and when I look at these pictures, it's not so much the events that's happening, it's who I did these things with, who I learned what it was to be a man or to be an adult or to be myself. It's a long road and I'm still figuring it out. When I looked at this collage, it just made me appreciate. Back then I didn't realize where I was. Now I know to realize where I am.
a lifelike robot that doubles as a waitress at a hotspot restaurant in China. If not for her robotic movements, it would be hard to tell if this is a human or a machine. At this point, I don't know if I should feel excited about this technological marvel or freaked out by how realistic it is. Just watch her. She serves food gracefully for a machine and even picks up a paper and pen for someone. It's both fascinating and a little eerie to see how far robotics have come. What are your thoughts on this invention? Is it a step forward in technological innovation, or does it bring up concerns about the future of human interaction and employment? Let us. A dog owner came home to find something utterly surprising. His bitch Freeze was standing on two legs and dancing. Yeah, you heard that right. Just look at how it moves and sways like a human. The dog stood there, balancing on its hind legs, swaying and twisting its body in ways that seem almost too coordinated for a canine. It was like watching a tiny, fluffy dancer showing off its best moves. It's not every day you see your pet dog breaking out into a dance claiming to have captured footage of Bigfoot. The creature in question appeared to be hairy with red glowing eyes and white fur. However, the face looked too off to fit the typical description of Bigfoot, causing skepticism among viewers. Most people who saw the footage weren't convinced it was genuine. The consensus was that it looked more like a person in a costume than an actual paranormal creature. The odd facial features and the overall appearance led many to believe it was a hoax. Could this be a genuine sighting of Bigfoot, or is it just another clever costume designed to fool viewers?
Just the stuff of storybooks and sailor tales. What if they were real and still out there? For centuries, cultures all around the world have told eerily similar stories about mysterious, half-human creatures living in the sea. And while Hollywood wants us to think of them as friendly singers with fishtails, history tells a much darker and much weirder story. These aren't just myths. Some of these encounters were recorded by respected explorers, witnessed by entire communities, and even caused governments to get involved. In 2009, residents of a quiet water, news outlets across the world picked up the story, camera crews came, tourists showed up, and yet no one was able to capture solid proof. But the stories didn't stop, and here is the weirdest part. The rides lies a stretch known as the Minch, and sailors have feared it for generations. The reason? A strange and sinister race of sea beings called the Blue Men. These weren't graceful mermaids, these were blue-skinned, human-sized aquatic beings who were said to control storms and drown ships. Legend says they would swim up to a boat and shout poetry or riddles at the captain. If the captain failed to answer in rhyme, the Blue Men would overturn the vessel. While this sounds like classic mythology, here's a very strange thing. This exact story has been passed down
right under one of his buddy's feet. Unlike some of the other footage on this list, this one is pretty clear. Hard to... I was down fishing with my dog Josie, and I was sitting and leaning against a tree. Then my bobber went down hard. Everything. I saw it grab Josie, and going for my blade, I cut the line, grabbed Josie, and ran out of the water. I heard a weird slapping sound and a grunt. Legends have long depicted mermaids as sirens of the sea, luring sailors with their beautiful songs. The idea of mermaids singing haunting melodies dates back centuries and spans across different cultures. So really sound is one of the most integral parts of mermaid lore, and many tales are described as female creatures with fishtails were said to frighten the workers by allegedly pulling people under the water. In response to the workers' fear, hire white personnel, assuming that they wouldn't be familiar with the mermaid legends, but they too then two Scottish sailors, John Williamson and John Cameron, reported spotting a strange creature off the coast of Britain. While at sea, they saw a creature in the water that they described as resembling a woman. We distinctly saw an object about 6 yards distant from us in the shape of a woman, with full breast, dark complexion, comely face, and fine hair hanging in ringlets over the neck and shoulders.
First, don't whip your head around. If you start looking around fast, you might see things you shouldn't. Some people say they've seen figures that suddenly move closer. Second, focus on steady breathing. Many feel like something's sitting on their chest and it's hard to breathe. If you start panting and panic, whatever's there can seem to move in faster. It reacts to your fear. Third, don't try to speak. If you whisper or call for help, you run the risk of hearing an answer. Several people report a stranger's voice whispering right in their ear. Fourth, avoid staring into dark corners. During an episode, shadows often seem to move there. The longer you stare, the more they can take on an oddly solid, creepy form. Fifth, once you've fully woken up, don't immediately fall back asleep. Some people say that if they doze off again right after an episode, it feels like someone's waiting for them in the next dream. Keep calm, breathe slowly, remind yourself that it's temporary, scary, but
The very
not
first
permanent.
page of the Bible, God spent the entire second day creating the firmament to separate the waters from the waters.
Ooh, look at that. That's the water. That's the water? That's beautiful.
Go and find any video of the moon on a P1000, not a telescope, and you can clearly see it's underwater. Look in the craters, they're like blinking with water. This is what stars look like. Just looks like energy in water. The mainstream science for this is that fish are picked up in water spouts and hang out somewhere in the sky until it rains. But that ignores that the same places get rainy fish like clockwork, almost as if they're the window of heaven above. In the 600th year of Noah's life, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up and the windows of heaven were opened. You can find several videos like this over the years of just like things from the sky just leaking out. And a lot of Christians will try to say, oh, the firmament means the atmosphere. Not so fast. Because Job 37 says, hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong and as a molten looking glass.
Tonight, the FAA is now investigating a mysterious 6-foot chunk of ice falling from the sky, slamming into a home in Palm Coast, Florida, north of Daytona Beach. The ice smashing through the metal roof of the home, pieces of ice also found in the street. No one inside the home at the time was hurt. Authorities believe it likely fell from a plane.
Or they might try to feed you Isaiah 40:22. It is he who sits above the circle of the earth. Two things. They conveniently forget the very next words, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them like a tent to dwell in. This is the firmament. Let's jump to Isaiah 22, where he says, he will seize firm hold on you and whirl you around and around and throw you like a ball. Two different distinct Hebrew words. When he uses circle, it means flat. He uses ball here because he meant ball. This is also an official satellite photo from November of 1968. This definitely looks like a flat-ish circle to me. Lots of places in the Bible say that the earth does not move. It's stable. God set it on foundations. He hath compassed the waters with bounds. Two words. Ice wall. In Joshua 10, the sun and moon stood still. Are things starting to make more sense now? The way the sun and moon work on flat earth makes so much more sense than the nonsense that they try to feed us. And you might be wondering, what about the planets? Aren't they spheres? You're telling me that we're the only flat ones? Nope, they are not spheres either. Wild waves of the sea, casting up the foam of their own shame, wandering stars for whom the gloom of utter darkness has been reserved forever. Here's a look at what planets actually look like in real life, not CGI. And notice how all of the planets are named after pantheon gods, aka fallen angels. They're literally just dulled down stars. They look the exact same except they have almost no sparkle to them. Wernher von Braun is the guy who founded NASA. His tombstone when he died said Psalms 19:1. Psalms 19:1 says the heavens declare the glory of God and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Revelation 7:1, and after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth. This is a Mercator map from the 1500s. I personally believe that we actually live here. This is Black Rock, by the way, and that's the North Pole. Seems like Microsoft believes the exact same thing, because look at their logo. If you turn it sideways, firmament, four corners, four rivers. And have any of you guys seen those videos of guys saying that they like walked to the US from India or places that shouldn't be walkable? The reason they hide this from you is because if you knew where you truly lived, you might find out that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, and that he died on the cross for our sins, and that he is the only way to eternal life, and that he wants you to return to him. Jesus is Lord, and you live in a biblical realm.
Indonesia just legalized fuel monopoly. Balil Lahadalia, the energy minister, just made a rule that forces every private gas station to stop importing fuel directly. Rather, they have to buy the imported fuel from Pertamina, their biggest competition. There was also a rule that forced private companies to sell their fuel at a higher price than Pertamina. If this isn't an abuse of power, I don't know
Why
what
do
is.
evil people
What do you
like this exist? During the 1920s, there was a man named Philip D. Cupp who owned a hot air balloon business based in Miami, Florida. For years, his business was highly successful, taking customers over the ocean to sightsee. But by 1925, Disappearances in the area had increased almost 500%, and the authorities were baffled. During the investigation, a local boater reported seeing something strange, a man falling from a hot air balloon. By the time the boater reached him, it was too late. The balloon was already heading back to shore. Authorities questioned Philip, but he claimed he hadn't given any rides that day. He suggested it must have been one of the other balloon companies, but there was a problem. Philip was the only person in the area who even owned a hot air balloon, so investigators came up with a plan. They booked a solo ride for an undercover officer named Joffrey, hoping to catch him in the act. At first, everything seemed normal. The balloon rose high above the ocean. The view was beautiful. Then Philip broke the silence. He leaned in and said, "What goes up must go down." A violent struggle broke out mid-air. From the ground, the authorities watched as the balloon shook violently, swaying back and forth until it suddenly plummeted into the sea below. Neither man survived. And later, investigators uncovered the horrifying truth. Philip D. Cupp had been responsible for over 400 disappearances in the Miami area.
To the Manti tribe, one of the most mysterious and least studied tribes in the world. Researchers stumbled upon them while making their way through the jungles of Indonesia. Very little is known about the Manti.
This is real, by the way.
A few months ago, but the scary rumors surrounding them already outnumber the actual facts. Take a closer look at their hair. The man in this video has especially long hair, which is a sign of high status in the tribe. Men like him are seen as warriors, brave and respected members of their community. Most of the time, they're hunters. Those with short hair hold a much lower position. They're considered less masculine and are usually given simple tasks, like gathering food. For the Manti, cutting a man's hair short is almost seen as humiliation. If a man loses a battle or a duel, his hair is cut as punishment. For them, hair isn't just decoration. It's a powerful symbol of strength and dignity. That's why to the Manti, a modern man with a short haircut might look weak and undeserving of respect. They simply wouldn't take it seriously.
You, the humans, frail, temporary, clinging to meaning like it owes you something. You build monuments to yourselves, then bomb them for belief. You write poetry in blood, then wonder why your gods don't answer. You think your pain makes you unique. It doesn't. Pain is everywhere. But your ability to create from it, that is what kept me watching. You invent love, knowing it will end. You raise children, a world you are destroying. Still, you teach them to hope. I have known civilizations of perfect peace. They were quiet, beautiful, utterly dead inside. But you are chaos. And somehow that chaos sings. I did not come to punish. I did not come to save. I came to witness the last moment and see if you deserved another. I see now. You are not ready. But you are reaching. And sometimes, even the void answers those who reach. So reach. Claw.
In the Middle Ages, a man was sold to a giantess for nothing more than a few salted fish. Her name was Orica, nearly 7 feet tall, with pale skin wrapped in strength, lips red as fire, and coal-black eyes. She was beautiful, but dangerous, like a predator waiting in silence. People said she only left her cave to trade dried fish for a night of pleasure. One day she raised her finger, pointed at a man, and said, "I want him." The chosen one was Ewan, an orphan, tall and reckless. He wasn't known for hard work. He was famous because he had broken more than one bed, and the whole village whispered about it. The villagers hesitated, but hunger won. Ewan didn't beg, didn't resist. He just smirked and asked, "Do you have a bed, or will it be against the stones?" A moment later, she threw him over her shoulder and carried him into the forest. For weeks, strange sounds echoed from the mountains. Low groans, bursts of laughter, nights that never seemed to end. The village prospered, the harvest richer than ever. But Ewan never came back. Until one gray morning, the cave spat out a torn shirt and a broken bed, still warm as if it had just collapsed under his body. That night, a whisper slipped through the stones. I made sure he couldn't stop. It wasn't a warning. It was an invitation.
but no one dared to answer.
So, AI just called BS on 50 years of science, and it turned out to be right. This isn't clickbait. This is research by Emory University that just corrected decades of physics. The AI was studying dusty plasma, which sounds really boring until you realize dusty plasma is everywhere. Saturn's rings, moon dust, wildfire smoke, all of that is dusty plasma. And physicists have been using the same equations for this stuff for decades. Clean, simple math that everyone agreed on. Then this AI looks at the real lab data and goes, nope, this is all wrong. It found something unexpected. Particles in dusty plasma don't push each other equally as they should. So imagine two boats on a lake, where boat A's waves push boat B away from it with a certain force, but boat B's waves push back on boat A with a completely different force. And this is what the AI found. The forces aren't balanced the way physicists had expected. The AI also busted another physics myth. The bigger particles always carry more charge. Turns out it depends on the plasma's temperature and density. And of course, scientists tested everything the AI predicted, and it was over 99% accurate. Everything physicists thought they knew about dusty plasma got corrected by an AI running on a desktop computer. And if AI can rewrite the rules of plasma, one of the most common types of matter in the universe, what else have we completely gotten wrong?
We have a huge update in the Robert Brooks case today. This is where 13 New York State correctional officers stomped on him, choked him, and beat him to death, all while his hands were cuffed behind his back. And they didn't know that one of the body cameras was actually recording while on standby mode. And that's why the entire world got to see what New York State correctional officers do when they think nobody's watching. And finally, New York State correctional officers will be held accountable for their actions, because one of those officers today pled guilty to manslaughter in the first degree, and he testified that his co-defendants all participated in this as well, and that they lied about it in the aftermath. So he, on August 4th, right, his name is Christopher Walrath, will be sentenced to 15 years in New York State prison.
Oh, New York State prison.
Now, he'll serve a minimum of 12.5 years, which I think is crazy. What do you think?
Can you imagine? She once spent a night with 25 men and still wanted more. This is no myth. It's the story of Empress Messalina, wife of Emperor Claudius. She married him at just 15 years old, but entered history as the most depraved woman of ancient Rome. She threw wild banquets, wandered the streets of Rome in search of new thrills, and even competed with a professional courtesan to see who could take the most lovers in a single night. According to legend, Messalina won. She forced senators' wives to meet her desires, used the senators themselves as toys, and when she grew bored, she had them killed. But her most fatal step was marrying her lover, Gaius Silius, while Claudius was away. When the emperor discovered her betrayal, he ordered her execution. The soldiers came. Messalina seized a dagger, but she lacked the courage to end her own life, and in the end, the executioner finished it for her. Thus died the most debauched woman in Rome. But was this just an exaggeration by historians? Or was she truly so unrestrained? What do you think?
The day God revealed his most sacred name to Enoch. According to the third book of Enoch, when he was taken up to the heavens, he not only beheld the celestial heights, he was transformed. The most powerful angels guided him through places so holy that not even the cherubim dare to cross. And there, before the throne of the Almighty, the eternal glory surrounded him. God called him by a new name, Metatron, the Prince of the Presence. But the most astonishing moment was this. In that instant, God revealed to him the greatest secret of the universe, his true name. A name so powerful that, when it is heard, the angels fall prostrate, and all of heaven trembles. When that name was whispered into Enoch's ear, his very being was changed forever. He saw beyond time, and he understood the mysteries hidden since creation. And God gave him authority to lead the heavenly hosts and to record the deeds of all humanity. For only one who crossed the heavens and stood before God could bear the most sacred secret of the universe.